I've been using brushes by Kyle Webster since before there was an iPad that you could draw on. It's been a very long time. Kyle Webster is so good at making brushes that Adobe bought his brush collection and hired him and made those brushes available throughout Adobe Fresco in Creative Cloud. He's a brush wizard and an amazing illustrator, really just one of the nicest people I've ever met. I'm talking about Kyle Webster today because Domestika recently reached out to me about their affiliate program and thought that some of my viewers might be interested in some of their classes. I thought, hey, this is sort of perfect timing because I know Kyle has this new class and I've been wanting to make time to take the class and watch the class. So this was perfect. To be fully transparent, I wasn't exactly sure what I would get out of the class because I have a whole YouTube channel where I talk about Fresco all the time. I use Fresco for my work as a professional illustrator. I'm drawing in Fresco every day, all day. I use it for nearly all of my work. And I thought maybe this class is more geared towards someone getting started with Fresco. You know, maybe I would pick up a tip here or there that maybe I didn't know, or a different way of working. But man, boy, howdy, let me tell you, this class is a treasure trove of just goodness. I honestly am blown away by this class. It is jam-packed with goodness. Even as someone who feels like they're, I don't know, an Adobe Fresco expert, I found myself just making notes for things that I wanted to remember. And the class isn't just amazing because of how well it shows you how to do things in Fresco. It's so much more than that. Kyle talks about his influences, his background. He shows work that's inspired him and analyzes it and talks about why he likes it. The whole time that he's working and drawing, he's talking about the decisions he's making and why he's drawing something this way and how he's planning his composition, and just talking about the story he's trying to express through the illustration, and just what makes good illustration. And this is so important because it makes it so much more than just a Fresco class. This is like an illustration masterclass. Aside from just brushes and, working for Adobe, Kyle Webster has had just an amazing career as an illustrator with just tons of big clients. He's a little bit of an illustration rock star. I'm just checking my notes here because there's stuff I want to make sure that I tell you about because this class is good. So, he talks about his thoughts on illustration, on style, on different brushes. You can't even imagine how many brushes Kyle Webster has made. I mean, you can a little bit if you go into add brushes in Fresco and just look through his archive there. But even just the mega pack alone is crazy. His brushes single-handedly made it possible for me to switch to working fully digital. For a really long time, I was struggling to do my line work digitally. I just couldn't get it to look the way I wanted to. And Kyle's brushes made it possible for me. And fully switching to digital was just incredible for my illustration career because it made things so much easier. You have to be able to do revisions quickly, and just the whole process was streamlined 1,000,000%. So, as I mentioned, he talks about his so much great illustration analysis and what makes a great illustration. He's talking about symbolism. He's talking about storytelling. Even if you were never going to use Fresco, you could take this Fresco class and get just so much illustration knowledge out of it. I know it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up Kyle's ass, but this class is incredible. And as someone who does classes on Skillshare and makes videos, I felt a little inadequate, if you will. So my use of brushes is pretty minimal. I kind of use what I use and I stick to it. Going through this class and learning about how a lot of these painting brushes work, the painting brushes are things I don't really use, and the different dynamics and how you can mix colors and blend things together was really, really incredibly eye-opening. In this class, I guess I should say what the class is about, creating a compelling animated illustration in Adobe Fresco. So that's what you do in this class. I made a piece. I'm very happy with it.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous.
I learned all different kinds of techniques that I didn't know otherwise, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. I'm keeping this review willy-nilly because I want to sort of just, I don't know, express my feelings. So you get the real, I don't want this to feel scripted because I really liked this class. And I think if I just give you a script review, you may not get what I'm telling you. So one thing that I will sort of dive into, and I want to kind of walk through the process with you, a little appetizer, a little sneak peek for this class, is Kyle's amazing color palette technique, where he just takes 3 colors and then builds a palette from that by mixing colors with some of his brushes. So let's hop over my iPad. I'm gonna walk through that process with you, and this could be a video on its own. So one of the things I sometimes struggle with, and also one of the things that I get asked about a lot, is in terms of colors and picking colors. And if I'm being honest, I wing it and willy-nilly it quite a bit. One of my favorite things in this class is Kyle breaking down his system for creating color palettes that was just sort of blowing my mind, and I thought it would be super helpful. So I'm gonna actually walk through the process here so you can follow along and do it for yourself, because I love this. I love taking the thinking and overanalyzing out of picking colors. So let's get into it. So in Kyle's process, he uses a specific brush that has a lot of mixing settings built into it that works really well for this process. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that. I believe this is available in all versions of Fresco. If you're using the free version, I think it's there as well. I think the key is that it is a brush that has like a multiply setting so that it shows through what's below it. But if you go into painting under your pixel brushes, and then you're just gonna look for the chunky brush. So this is what we're gonna use. And now we're gonna pick 3 colors that will be our primary colors. So these don't have to be primary colors. They're just gonna be 3 colors that we're gonna build our palette from. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick 3 colors that I gravitate to and use a lot. The first is like a red salmon-y color. I'm just gonna go ahead and make like a little square using this brush. And then the other color I like to use quite a bit is like a bluish green color, like that. And then like a good yellow. I'm just gonna grab a greenish yellow, or like a yellow. It's pretty much yellow. And this is where the fun happens. So we're gonna make a new layer. We wanna keep our primary colors on their own layer to, I don't know, keep them separate, I guess. And what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna select one of these colors. So I'll use eyedropper, select the red, and I'm just going to lightly paint over this blue. So they're mixing a little bit, and then I'm gonna use the eyedropper. I'm gonna take that color, I'm gonna make a little swatch down here. And I can do the same thing over here with the yellow. Grab that. And then you can start taking these and like mixing them into the other colors. So, you know, maybe we want to take this green and then mix it into the blue and get like a more green. And we can take the yellow, so I'm just lightly painting over the other color. Now we got this color. That's a nice orange. I like that orange. And you can keep going back and forth, and you know, you can take this green and go on top of the red and see what that does. And the point of this is that it keeps your color palette just working because you're all coming from these same 3 colors. So we got this sort of brownish neutral color when we mix those together. Pretty neat. And you can get as nuanced as you want. You could keep going and going. Like, you could put this into here and get this color. More gray green, if you will. And then the next thing you can do is take any one of your colors. I would say maybe one of the darker colors if you're using a light color. And let's just go with the blue. And then you're going to go into your color picker here and move it all the way over to full saturation and then drag it down. And you don't want to go all the way to black because that can get a little muddy, but you just want to get a really nice, rich, dark color. And now we're going to use that to mix into our other colors. So we'll take that and then we'll come over here to our primaries, lightly brush over this. Whoops. I'm going to use the eyedropper. Got that color. Can do it over the blue. Why is my eyedropper being finicky right now? I'm like, look at all these colors that we're able to generate. I think I have my Apple Pencil. I should use my other hand. I think I'm confusing it. You can go into like other colors here, like can make a dark version of this. Like look at all these variations. And then the next thing we'll do is the opposite of like the really dark color. We'll go to the yellow here, and then we'll bring that all the way over. Not quite all the way to white, but we want a nice light color, like this cream color that we got. And now we can use this and mix that in. So I drop that. We can come in here and now we've got this pink color. And you can see they're all auto-populating right there, which is cool. And you know, if you wanted even lighter, you can go back in and then go into that. And you could just keep going and they're all going to work together nicely. Maybe we want like a nice peachy color. Just look at it. You want to even go lighter here? You can do that. You can do whatever you want. It's all just going to work together beautifully. Take some of this red, come in here, mix it into this. Got a nice purple color. So what we can do now is go ahead and like narrow this down and maybe make a palette from it. Okay, cool. So another thing that you can do is let's do a new layer on top of this. And let's grab our dark color here. Let's make the brush even bigger. What we can do is just sort of go over all of them lightly. Now we've got like shadow versions of all these colors, which is cool. And then you could like, you know, just toggle that on and off if you wanted those. So now at this point, what you can do is like just screenshot this, crop it in like that. Then you can save that to your photos. You could even do like the one with the shadow as well. So you could go into your illustration document, then go ahead, grab this palette, and it's automatically going to create that palette for you. So now if you look down here, you'll see your color palette is all there, ready to go. You can also just simply drag this over into the margin and keep it over there outside of your artboard to just quickly come in here and grab whatever colors that you want. And then if you wanted to get the other one as well, you could do the same thing. You could put that in there, put that over there if you wanted to. And now these are outside of your artboard and ready to go. And you can use these to color your illustration and not have to think about the colors because you know you've got a good palette. So once you've gone through and done all this, you could experiment even further by just clicking on this adjustment layer and go into like the hue saturation. And you can start moving this around and make all kinds of new palettes knowing that they're just going to work perfectly because they all started with these, they're all mixed from the same 3 primary colors. This is the best. I love this. Okay, so back to this class. So if you're like a complete beginner, he walks through all of the different things in Fresco, like the different brushes, different layer actions, just everything. It explains how everything works and just has tons and tons of tips. I can't recommend enough watching this class if you are new to Fresco. As I mentioned, it's incredibly valuable for anyone interested in illustration, regardless of Fresco. But if you're someone who wants to learn Fresco, it's incredible for that. So I don't want to give away everything from this class, but I do want to share a couple little things that I learned. To be honest, I couldn't give away everything I learned in this class because I literally have a document over here that I'm just like scrolling through with all the notes that I took from this class. And this is from me. I use Fresco all the time. Like I make tutorials about Fresco. So if you haven't been using Fresco as much as I have, you're gonna learn a lot. Let's go over to my iPad. I wanna show you one other thing that I learned in this video that is really helpful, and it's a motion thing. So let's say we made this little flying ship. Maybe it's a little helicopter. I'm gonna put the amount of leaf blowing in my neighborhood is out of control. And I think this mic is gonna be good about it, but if it's not, I apologize. Oh, okay, helicopter needs the thing up top. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's do a frame by frame sequence and then put it on a path. So I'm going to click on the animation thing down here, and I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. We'll just do a 3-frame loop. 3 frames is usually good enough for some motion. So on the first one, I'm just going to make that. I think we'll put a little one back here too. So I'm gonna go to the second one, and I'm just gonna draw a new one. And just the act of drawing this 3 times will make it look like it's in motion, I think. Should be enough for our purposes. Yeah, there we go. Looks like it's spinning. Okay, cool. So let's say we want it to do a sweet stunt like this. Fly upside down, go like that. Like that, and that's not really doing what we want to do. So you could click on this align to path option, but if you do that, that's not what we want either. And I never really knew how to get this to work, if I'm being fully honest. I was like, it's just, I don't know. All we have to do, take our little frame by frame animation, click on the transform tool, choose all frames, and all we're gonna do now is just rotate this vertical, so it's pointing upwards. Now we draw our path and click align to path. Look at that. We got a stunt helicopter. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Okay, so let's look at the animation I made for this class. I used the color palette that I created using Kyle's technique. Also, all of this like amazing texture is this technique that he demonstrates that you just can do so quickly on one layer. And this is my layer right here. So let me just turn it up and change it to normal. So this right here was done so quickly just using one of his brushes that is available in Fresco. Super cool. He goes over the process in the class, but all you do is paint that like this and then change this to overlay and then adjust the opacity to your liking. And you just get this really cool texture all over everything. I learned about these different techniques for getting this cool lighting effect and like the light on the glass. Really excited about that. I feel like this has this really sort of unique, interesting look that's a little bit different than my typical work. A couple of things I want to point out here, some tricks that I figured out in this process. So you'll notice that everything is cropped to the square except for this snake dragon thing. And the reason for that is because I wanted to make this thing bob up and down on a path. And the issue was that it was getting cut off unless I raised it up higher so that the motion was happening above the frame. So what I did to get around that was I made it vector, because when you have vector artwork, it can extend beyond your canvas. And to match the line work, so I had this like gritty line work, I just used one of my new gritty vector Fresco brushes or brush presets that I recently released. I'll link to those below if you want to check them out. But I used the VV Sharpie to get this gritty vector line work so that it matches the other line work I was using. I did my line work using Retro Supply Co.'s classic inker, which I will also link below, but it pairs really well with my VV Sharpie. As you can tell, they both have that same sort of analog, little bit of ink bleed look. But this allowed me to have the dragon head extend beyond the top. So when I hit play, you'll see it can go up and down without having that weird gap. This is a spaceship scene, and the prompt for the class is like, think of like a character and like a space and like a vibe or mood situation. So I got this weird, funny space scene, and I had so much fun doing all these like computer little screens and like the data. And This like glowing light off of the screen was a technique that I learned in the class where he walks through one of the painting brushes to create that look. Really excited with how that came out. Just playing around with like timing and having things happen at different times. He talks about how to, when you have something really complicated like this, how to make sure that it all loops perfectly and there's no weird issues like that. I mean, got floating pizza. I felt like I leveled up my pizza steam technique. Just, I don't know. Really had a lot of fun with this. Love this class. This is my animation. I think I did a good job. Let me know what you think.
Try something completely different.
Can't recommend this class enough. Turn off this video and go take this class. Good talk.